Bunker gear or turnout gear are terms used by many firefighters to refer to the personal protective equipment (PPE). Bunker gear and turnout gear can refer, depending on the context, to just the trousers, boots and jacket, or to the entire combination of personal protective equipment and personal protective clothing. The terms are derived from the fact that the trousers and boots are traditionally kept by the firefighter's bunk at the fire station to be readily available for use. This clothing is usually referred to as fire kit in the UK and Ireland. In Hong Kong, it is referred to as incident gear. History. Historically, firefighters did not have the same level of protective clothing used today. Because of this, most fires were fought from the outside of burning buildings, and structures were rarely entered. Early in the history of firefighting, a firefighter's outer clothing were more for warmth and dryness than for protection from fire. In the early 19th century, felt caps were worn of various design and were more for decoration than service. This early headgear did not provide any protection against flame or head injury but did keep water off the firefighter's face. The forerunner of the modern firefighter's helmet was developed in 1830 by luggage maker Henry Gratacap, who was a volunteer firefighter in New York City. He saw a need for a better designed helmet that was both functional and provided protection to the wearer. This helmet is immediately recognizable today as the New Yorker style, and little has changed in its general shape. The helmet had a high-peaked front to retain a helmet shield which was usually adorned with a company name and number, and it also featured 8 rib sections on the dome and a long rear brim that channeled water away from the wearer's neck. The early use of long trench coats, made of leather or canvas and later made of rubber, was the forerunner of modern turnout jackets. Early coats had felt or wool liners to provide warmth in the winter. These liners later developed in basic thermal protection liners found in today's modern coats. Earlier rubber coats were much longer than today's modern turnout jackets, reaching down to a firefighter's mid-thigh, and were worn with long rubber boots called three-quarter boots, which came above the firefighter's knees. This interface of boot and coat left a large gap of protection against fire. This system has since been replaced by the modern combination of a jacket, pants with suspenders, and shorter rubber or leather boots. Although some departments still wear the traditional old style of gear, the combination of modern triple-layer turnout gear with self-contained breathing apparatus, pass device, and modern communications equipment made it more feasible and survivable to enter burning buildings. Modern turnout jackets and pants are made of fire-resistant fabrics or polybenzimidazole, the standard that the National Fire Protection Association has designated to firefighter protective clothing. NFPA 1971, Standard on Protective Ensembles for Structural Firefighting and Proximity Firefighting, which specifies the minimum design, performance, safety, testing, and certification requirements for structural firefighting protective ensembles and ensemble elements that include coats, trousers, coveralls, helmets, gloves, footwear, and interface components. Station uniform. The first component of firefighting equipment is the uniform that a firefighter will wear around the station. Its purpose is to provide a comfortable clothing that they wear around the station, but will not become an obstruction when a firefighter is required to put on his turnout gear. Naturally, turnout gear is to be worn over the station garments during any call that a firefighter is called upon. Another aspect of the station uniform is the station safety shoes, commonly referred to as work boots. These shoes are required to be fitted with safety toes and puncture-resistant soles in most countries in case the firefighter goes out on a call that does not require his/her turnout gear. United States. The United States follows NFPA 1975 standard on station work uniforms for firefighters. NFPA 1975's main purpose is that no part of the uniform garment ignite, melt, drip, or separate when exposed to a heat of 500 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 minutes. Turnout clothing. Turnout clothing can consist of a combination of trousers with an overall strap attached, boots, and a jacket. Many sets use a trouser-jacket combination. The advantage of this combination is the ability to take off the jacket in situations where the jacket is not necessary. Since bunker gear insulates the body from the outside air, the body heats up rapidly. Taking off a jacket helps considerably in keeping cool. It has been noted that young children who happen to be in already dangerous circumstances like a building fire may be frightened by the appearance of firefighters so equipped to deal with the potential problem. Many fire departments have school presentations to familiarize children with the gear so as to ensure they will be calm and cooperative during emergencies. Materials. According to NFPA 1971 and similar standards in other countries, all turnout clothing must have 3 components: an outer shell, a moisture barrier, and a thermal barrier. In between these layers are pockets of air referred to as dead zones. These layers of air, along with the 3 protective layers, help to further insulate the wearer from the extreme environments of fires. Usually turnout pants are outfitted with reinforced knees and leather cuffs. The materials used from the 3 layers in turnout trousers and coats may vary but will very often include a Nomex-Kevlar combination of material. As an example, the materials used by the Los Angeles City Fire Department, as found in the 2005 recruit handout, are as follows: outer shell, Southern Mills, advanced Nomex Kevlar blend in a ripstop weave with water repellent finish. Thermal insulated layer, Southern Mills called Durabatten quilt material. Thermal and moisture barriers are sewn together for removal for cleaning, repair and replacement from outer shell. Moisture barrier, Breathe-Tex material combined with Nomex Kevlar blend laminated cloth. NFPA 1500 and similar standards mandate features such as protective collars and sleeves to protect the firefighter from exposure to heat, water and debris. Turnout trousers once the need arises for actual firefighting protective equipment to be worn, also known as turnouts. A firefighter must properly wear protective equipment required. Turnout trousers will be the first article of clothing that a firefighter will usually wear. Suspenders worn with the turnout trousers should be the heavy-duty type in order to stand up against such heavy weights and rigorous activities they will face. Most experienced interior firefighters will carry, in the turnout trouser pockets, various tools and equipment as well as rope they may need during an emergency. The turnout trousers, when not in use, are usually stored scrunched down around the boots for efficient and fast access when they are needed. The firefighter may then step into each boot and pull up the trousers and suspenders. Turnout coat. A turnout coat is the type of jacket typically worn by firefighters. Oversized pockets allow for carrying tools and equipment, and reflective safety stripes ensure that firefighters remain visible to each other. Protective coats will usually have Velcro or zipper functions, which will enable a firefighter to properly and efficiently don this piece of gear. There is also a storm flap which covers this closure area and protects it against damage and loosening, and is an extra measure to the firefighter, as these areas can be exposed to fire and heat. Wristlets, 4-inch 100% Nomex coverings along the distal end of the coat arms in with the thumb joint will slip through, fit around the firefighter's hand and provide reduced redundant protection where the skin may show between the glove and coat. They are designed to prevent burns to the wrist, while preventing bunching and remaining flexible. Overall, the overalls that are available are of the same materials and specifications. Usually an overall has a cord built in around the waist to make it fit better. Because of its size, it's more difficult to scrunch up the overall around the boots. Firefighter turnout boots are usually sized as a regular shoe, but are made of rubber leather with a boron steel toe insert. The boots are slipped inside the legs of the trousers to maintain a barrier from the heat given off by the fire. When the trousers and boots are not being actively used, the trousers will fold down and out around the shins of the boots, ready for quick access for the firefighter. Due to the enormous amounts of potential hazards at a fire scene to the feet, turnout boots are required to be able to handle a variety of different burns and blows. All boots are required to be outfitted with safety toes and a puncture-resistant midsole plate to prevent puncture from sharp objects that may be stepped on. Such emphasis on the midsole plate is made that IFSDA has deemed that, if there is doubt about midsole protection, X-ray the boot, flash hood, Nomex hood and other parts of the garments. When helmets do not provide built-in protection for the ears, neck and part of the face, a protective firefighting hood is worn by firefighters. These are fitted and designed to protect the firefighter's ears, neck, and the parts of his face which are not protected by the SCBA mask. They are designed to the guidelines set by NFPA in 1975. Cal. OSHA Title No. 8 also has regulations in the state of California. They are made of Nomex knit fabric which weighs 6 ounces. Square. YRD. They are most often double ply with only one seam running from the top center of the face opening, over the top and down the bottom of the bib. The Nomex knit, which is standard, is why they are commonly referred to as Nomex hoods. First, the hood is tucked into the collar. The SCBA mask is then donned, and the hood pulled over the face seal to cover any exposed skin. Firefighter helmet. The fire helmet's first function was to shed water in early years. Today, it is first and foremost designed to protect a firefighter from falling debris and injury to the head while fighting a fire. The secondary job of the fire helmet is to protect from heat, and hence burns to the head. It provides a hard shell, electrical, heat, and steam burn protection, and in some types of helmets, goggles or a visor. Goggles or a visor are used to protect the firefighter's eyes during rescue and extrication operations. Fire helmets are constructed of various materials, including non-conductive materials for protection against electrical currents, carbon fiber and plastic combination for a lightweight design for comfort, and a Kevlar lining for strength and protection. The design of helmets vary from fire service to fire service and depends on the service or department's requirements. Some helmets are fitted with a face guard, a shield to protect the firefighter's face against heat, dust, water and debris when working on a rescue or extraction call, as well as when performing fire exposure protection. In the case of exposure protection, the shield works better for it keeps more heat from the firefighter's face, but the goggles give more eye protection in extraction and rescue ops. United States. There are 4 basic components to firefighting helmets. Helmet shell, well balanced, lightweight, and designed to provide maximum protection. Contains a front brim, rear brim, and raised top. Impact ring, 3/8 thick sponge rubber impact ring to absorb impact energy. Helmet liner, high-density plastic liner, made of fire-retardant cotton and Nomex. Completely adjustable nape strap adjusts to firmly cradle the occipital portion of head. Chin strap, 3/4 wide, black nylon with Velcro on one end, leather-backed postman side buckle. The leather helps protect the skin of the cheek from the metal buckle. Previous types of helmets had been constructed of a steel outer shell with a ribbed construction for extra strength and compressed cork with a lacquer applied to the outer face of it. The design and shape of the helmet is intended to redirect water and debris from the head and neck area. It also prevents head and neck injury to the firefighter in the event of falling debris. Europe. In Europe and some Europe-oriented countries around the world, the helmet designs vary from the US designs in that they are moving towards a style without brims. The pilot-style helmets have a brim at the front of the helmet, and a shape that covers more of the head. The neck is protected by a combination of a Nomex flash hood and a foil face neck curtain which connects to the rear of the helmet. In most designs, the Nomex fabric also protects the area around a SCBA facepiece in the front of the neck. A commonly used helmet is the F1 helmet, although several other designs like the Draeger HPS helmet are in use. These helmets tend to have inbuilt face protection and eye protection that swivel into the shell of the helmet for protection. N443-1997 specifies the properties that are demanded for protection, comfort and durability. There are optional specifications to cater for national requirements. The new N443-2008 now replace the N443-1997. Hand protection. Many types of hand protection are available to firefighters today, the most common being the work glove and the structural firefighting glove. Work gloves are a must for all fire services. They are used when gloves are required, but actual firefighting gloves are not. They allow better mobility to perform various types of functions from relaying hose beds to vehicle maintenance. Work gloves are usually made of leather or a leather-like material. Extrication gloves are similar in design and appearance to auto mechanics gloves, but are made of a heavier rip-proof and puncture-resistant material such as Kevlar, while still lightweight enough to allow the manual dexterity to operate rescue equipment and sometimes enough to take a victim's pulse. These are used in urban search and rescue, vehicle extrication and related applications, but are not rated for firefighting. For an actual working fire, structural firefighting gloves must be worn. Structural gloves tend to be the last piece of protective equipment to be donned, usually because the free dexterity of the fingers is required to perform functions such as properly placing an SCBA mask on and accurately tightening a helmet strap. The gloves will fit over the wristlets and under the distal part of the coat sleeve, ensuring full enclosure of the latter arm. Gloves are designed to protect from extreme heat and various penetrating objects and to allow dexterity. Usually the latter is sacrificed to give adequate protection to heat and sharp objects. Newer gloves are more lightweight and don't lose the dexterity when they dry after becoming wet the way leather gloves may. Variations. Proximity suit. Firefighters wear several other related types of protective clothing, which are not usually called turnout gear. Proximity gear or a fire proximity suit is turnout gear with an outer layer of heat-reflecting metallic material, used in firefighting applications of extreme heat such as aircraft fires and some chemical fires. Hazmat suit. Hazmat suits are designed to prevent the wearer from coming into contact with hazardous materials. The suits come in two variations: gas tight and splash protection. These suits are uncomfortable to wear and always require the use of a CBA or an airline breathing apparatus. The suit consists of the body, boots, two pairs of rubber latex gloves, and another pair of latex gloves that is duct taped to the sleeves to provide maximum protection. The next piece is the hood. The hood allows the hazmat operator to enter the scene and still have a full range of view with the maximum protection possible. The SCBA is worn under the suit so it as well is protected from any chemicals that the operator may endure while on the scene. Wildland fire suppression. Protective clothing worn for forest fire and other wildland fire suppression use is made of a single layer of lightweight Nomex material and worn with leather logging boots and an industrial hard hat. A tent-like fire shelter is carried for emergency use in case of a blow-up. In the U.S., the standard color scheme for wildland fire PPE since the 1970s is yellow for shirts, green for trousers. Steel-toed rubber boots cannot be worn due to the heat conditions on the fire line. U.S. standards for wildland gear are covered in NFPA 1977. Gallery.